Stan and Francine Smith from American Dad might seem like your typical animated couple, but Francine has pulled some unhinged stunts over the years. From manipulation to outright violence, this woman has crossed lines that would have any rational person running for the hills. So buckle up, because we're counting down the top 10 times Stan Smith really should have packed his bags and left Francine behind. Coming in at number 10, we have Francine selling Stan's prized possessions behind his back for her selfish desires. This wasn't about necessity. Francine systematically went through Stan's most treasured belongings and sold them without discussion. We're talking about items with deep sentimental value, things that represented Stan's identity and passions. What makes this worse is that when Stan discovered what she'd done, Francine showed zero remorse. No apology, no acknowledgement of how devastating this betrayal was. Instead, she doubled down and acted like Stan was being unreasonable for being upset. In any real relationship, this disrespect would be grounds for serious consideration of the relationship's future. But Stan just took it and moved on. At number 9, we're talking about Francine's disturbing pattern of using physical violence to solve her problems with Stan. And I'm not talking about cartoon slapstick here. I'm talking about genuine, repeated physical assault that left Stan injured and traumatized. Time and time again, whenever Francine doesn't get her way or feels slighted, her immediate response is to attack Stan physically. She's thrown objects at his head, pushed him downstairs, and even used weapons against him. What's truly disturbing is how the show frames this as acceptable behavior simply because Francine is the woman in the relationship. If the roles were reversed, viewers would be horrified. But because it's Francine attacking Stan, it's played for laughs. The psychological impact of living with someone who resorts to violence whenever they're frustrated cannot be understated, even in a cartoon universe. Number 8 will blow your mind. Francine abandoned her family for weeks without a word. Not for an emergency, but purely because she was bored and wanted to pursue her selfish interests. She left Stan to manage the household, take care of the kids, and handle all family responsibilities while she did whatever she pleased. When she finally returned, did she come back with apologies? No. She acted like her absence was no big deal and that Stan should just be grateful she came back. This level of irresponsibility goes beyond typical marital problems. This is someone who views their family as optional, something they can walk away from whenever it becomes inconvenient. At number 7, we have Francine's masterclass in psychological manipulation that left Stan questioning his sanity. She systematically gaslit him, making him believe he was losing his mind while she orchestrated elaborate schemes behind his back. This wasn't just garden variety lying. This was calculated long-term emotional abuse designed to make Stan completely dependent on her version of reality. She convinced him that his memories were wrong, that his perceptions couldn't be trusted, and that he needed her to navigate basic aspects of his own life. The psychological damage from this kind of manipulation can last for years, creating deep-seated trust issues and self-doubt that affect every aspect of a person's life. Number 6 is going to make you question everything about their relationship. Francine deliberately sabotaged Stan's career advancement out of pure spite. When Stan was up for a major promotion that would have benefited their entire family, Francine couldn't stand the idea of him succeeding. So what did she do? She actively worked to undermine his professional reputation, spreading rumors and creating situations that made him look incompetent in front of his superiors. This wasn't about legitimate concerns or relationship issues. This was about Francine's inability to handle Stan's success. She would rather see her husband fail and their family suffer financially than deal with her insecurities about his achievements. Coming in at number 5, Francine committed the ultimate betrayal by pursuing a romantic relationship with someone else while married to Stan. And I'm not talking about a moment of weakness or a mistake she immediately regretted. This was a calculated, ongoing emotional affair that she actively pursued and enjoyed. She invested time, energy, and emotional intimacy in another person while leaving Stan completely in the dark. When the truth came out, instead of showing remorse or fighting for their marriage, Francine considered leaving Stan for this other person. The level of disrespect and betrayal here goes beyond typical marital problems. This is someone who was actively shopping for Stan's replacement while still married to him. Number 4 will shock you. During one of Stan's most vulnerable moments, when he needed support and understanding from his wife, Francine not only abandoned him, but also actively made his situation worse. Stan was dealing with a serious personal crisis that required sensitivity and care, but instead of being supportive, Francine turned the entire situation into something about herself. She complained about how his problems were inconveniencing her and worked against his recovery because it didn't fit into her plans. This revealed something truly disturbing about Francine's character, her complete inability to put anyone else's needs before her own, even when that person is supposedly the love of her life. At number 3, we have Francine's descent into addiction and her choice to prioritize her destructive behavior over her family's well-being. When given multiple opportunities to get help and change course, Francine consistently chose her addiction over Stan and the kids. She lied, stole, and manipulated to feed her compulsions, and when Stan tried to intervene, she turned him into the villain. What makes this even more heartbreaking is that Stan tried everything to support her recovery, but Francine repeatedly threw his efforts back in his face. She would rather destroy her family than face her problems, and Stan had to watch helplessly as the woman he loved chose self-destruction over their life together. Number 2 is so outrageous that you'll question how their marriage survived at all. Francine deliberately put Stan's life in danger to cover up her own mistakes. When faced with the consequences of her actions, instead of owning up to what she'd done, she created an elaborate scheme that put Stan in genuine mortal peril. She was willing to let her husband die rather than face embarrassment or accountability for her behavior. This goes beyond selfishness into sociopathic territory. What kind of person values their convenience over their spouse's life? Even when Stan discovered what she'd done, Francine showed no genuine remorse, only anger that she'd been caught. And here we are at number 1, the moment that should have ended their marriage forever. Francine committed an act so heinous, so completely unforgivable, that it defies explanation how Stan ever trusted her again. She deliberately destroyed something that represented Stan's entire identity and life's work, not out of anger or passion, but out of cold, calculated cruelty. When Stan discovered what she'd done, his reaction was so raw and devastating that even Francine seemed momentarily shocked by the depth of the pain she'd caused. But instead of genuine remorse, she quickly shifted into self-defense mode, acting like Stan was overreacting to her minor mistake. This moment revealed the true core of Francine's character, someone capable of inflicting unimaginable pain on the person who loves her most, and then acting like the victim when called out for it. The top 10 times Stan Smith should have absolutely walked away from Francine and never looked back. Honestly, it's a miracle this marriage has survived even one of these incidents, let alone all of them. But I guess that's the magic of animated sitcoms. Relationships that would be completely toxic and unsustainable in real life somehow keep trucking along for our entertainment. Still, you have to admire Stan's dedication, even if it's probably not the healthiest example of commitment out there. What do you think? Did we miss any moments where Stan should have just packed his bags? Let me know in the comments below which Francine moment you think was the absolute worst. And don't forget to subscribe for more cartoon commentary content.